Welcome to the season finale of the Mike Cook Guys podcast, season 6. So tonight's episode is going to be an up and down funny episode. For some of you guys, it might be a bit offensive because, well, you guys have no backbones. And that's cool. So tonight's episode is about my funny adventure to upstate New York with my buddy Little Darryl. Now I know what you're wondering. You guys are saying, Little Darryl? Just hear me out. Little Darryl is 6'6", 300 pounds, and sings like a hybrid Luther Vandross and Johnny Gill. As a matter of fact, he's actually been on an episode of the show, season 4 if I remember correctly. Season 4 or season 3, one of those seasons. So, it all started a few months ago. My coworker, who I will, codename the Italian Bride, she was telling me about, the wedding and how, 6 people agreed to come and, certain family members weren't going to be there. And I was like, well, I'll go. It's not that often I will take a weekend off. It's very rare for me to say, hey, I'm going to take a weekend off. They're not used to that. People aren't used to hearing me say the words, I'm going to take a day off. So for me to do that, that's very rare. And originally I was going to go with this one person, but for the obvious reason, and those who know the backstory, that wasn't going to happen. So because she mentioned it was an Italian wedding, and me being a brown-skinned brother like no other from the South, you think the words Italian wedding. Okay, what movie stands out to most men in that category? Jungle Fever, made by Spike Lee, where Wesley Snipes cheats on his wife with an Italian woman. And they compare, black lives and Italian family lives. And, apparently the stereotype, Italians are very racist towards black people. That's the stereotype I've always been told. That's the stereotype I've seen on TV. But every single Italian I've met have been the exact opposite. They've been very embracing. They've been very cool, and they will feed you like no other. I remember dating an Italian chick, and I had to break it off with her because I gained like almost 25 pounds just from her cooking, and I had to let her go. Although sometimes I regret it, but my health doesn't. And that's the honest truth. So I said, yeah, I'll be there. I bought, king-size bed. Little Darryl bought a king-size bed. As we were getting closer, she kept asking, hey, are you still coming? Are you still coming? And I'm like, yeah, I'll be there. I'm going to be there. And she was like, okay. And then she was telling me about all the foods, and I'm like, I don't think I'll be able to eat that. And she's like, why? And I said, well, right now I'm in my second week of doing the keto diet. Because after doing my preventive exam, I've been told, hey, Mr. Cook, your blood sugar's getting high. And I'm like, how high? He looked at me like higher than a stoner in D.C., which I thought was funny he said that. So I had to think about, hey, I want to live longer. I want to be around longer. So feeling defeated and depressed, the first person I called was Iron Mike. Iron Mike's been doing the keto diet, and I've seen him go from the 300s to maybe 235 now. And I asked him, I said, teach me. And he's like, all right, well, I'll get you there. And I haven't stepped on a scale yet, but I've noticed a lot of differences. I don't get out of breath as much when I hit the fourth floor. And even though I get a little bit cloud-headed, which is pretty much a little bit forgetful. I've been more focused. I've been more sharp. I sleep more. I don't use my CPAP as much. It's just amazing, the results. But it's very strict. And my advice for anyone who does keto, it's a chore. But I wish I was learning keto when I was doing weightlifting, because I'd probably be a different lifter. Because you're intaking more protein and good fats than anything, and fibers and all that. So my advice to many people who start, based on my journey so far, a week before you completely do it, just slowly wean off, just slowly wean off. So I was more worried about that, because she's like, there's going to be baked ziti, there's going to be mashed potatoes, there's going to be prime rib, there's going to be all these different Italian dishes, there's going to be cookies, there's going to be cake. And I'm like, damn, I can't eat none of this. Like, this is not going to help me. So as we got closer, I'm like trying to figure out ways. But then she's like, open bar. And I'm like, okay, I think there's carbs and alcohol. I'm not sure. So as we got closer, I'm getting my car more prepared and, tuned up and ready. And, the game plan was I was going to get up at 3 in the morning, meet up little Darryl and pick him up in Alexandria at 3:30, and then get on the road by 4. And I told him that. I was like, that's been the game plan. Nothing's changed. And he's like, call me when you get there. I'm like, dude, I'm pretty much telling you I'm going to be at your house at 3:30. Be ready. And when I got there, he was like, big dog, you didn't let me know that you made it there. You're supposed to call, let me know you're on your way. I said, I specifically told you I was going to be here at 3:30. It's 3:35. Why ain't you ready? Oh, I got to take a shit, big dog. So I was like, this guy. So we finally got on the road a little bit after 4 o'clock. And we drove. We're riding. He was up a good chunk of the time. At one point, he fell asleep. He won't admit it, but he was asleep. No, man, I was just chilling, big dog. And I'm like, no, you wasn't. You was asleep. Wake up. Like, this is why I like going on road trips with women. Not because I want to flirt and talk. It's just that they talk more. They keep me company more. Like, they have more to talk about than I do. And they keep me awake, I'm sorry, my dudes, all my homies, y'all cool with me. But there's just something about a woman traveling that it's much more convenient. So we took a couple, stops, and we finally got there at about 11 o'clock. And the cool thing about driving through Pennsylvania and New York, nobody gives a fuck about the speed limit. Speed limit is supposed to be 55. Speed limit is supposed to be 65. I'm going at least 95, and that's not exaggerating. That is legit. I'm going about 95 fucking miles on the highway, going with the flow of traffic with everyone, mind you. So it's crazy when that's going on. So when we got there, the first person I see the groom. He's like trying to relax. I know he's getting butterflies. And, I was like, all right, well, I'm about to go to my room. But before I even made it to my room, I saw the bride. I saw her mom. I saw her sister. They're like, Mike, I need you to, Mike, you do this. Mike, can you do that? And I'm like, okay. And then one of my friends who was a bridesmaid for the wedding, she was upstairs and I was on the 3rd floor. Everyone else was on the 2nd floor. Me and her were the only ones on the 3rd floor. So I ended up knocking on the wrong door. But good thing it was empty. And I saw her earlier before the wedding, before I got ready. Because before then, I went and had lunch, and I'm like, hey, let me know if you want anything, or I'll pick you up something. And me and little Darryl went down to like the restaurant next to the hotel, and we saw this Italian bartender. She was cute. She had a New York accent. She reminded me of Bambi almost. But the only thing that caught my attention that Darryl pointed out, She wasn't wearing no bra, so her like everything was just hanging low, and I'm like, yo, I guess this is what she does to get tip money. I don't know. But, of course, she liked the blonde and blue-eyed guys, and that's cool. Everyone has their own preference. So, as I put my order in, my buddy sent me a message. She's like, hey, could you get me this, this, and this? And I was like, cool. And I told the waitress, how long is it going to take for the food is done? And she mentioned, I was like, bet. So, next, literally, like, everything was in one area. So the hotel was connected to the restaurant and the bar and the banquet hall where the wedding and the reception was at. So that was cool. Everything is all one there. Right next door, the gas station. And the gas station had, like, surprisingly everything. My dumb behind bought the wrong deodorant. So I was killing two birds with one stone. I picked up what she needed, and I got me, what was it? I think it was Secret deodorant. Or Degree. It was for men. But I was like, beggars can't be choosers, and we don't have enough time to go to, the grocery store to get something. Like, the nearest grocery store was an Aldi, and I doubted they would have had the Axe antiperspirant. So I was like, well, stick with Degree. So I got back, dropped all the stuff to her because I was literally like running. And then I went to the restaurant, and my stuff was still not ready yet. So then when they brought the food, I asked for chicken tenders. It was on point. Little Darryl asked for wings with garlic parmesan on the side. Did you know that what they gave him was complete opposite of garlic parmesan? It was pretty much a clump of butter and a scoop of fresh garlic melted, and the garlic was like still half melted. Like, where's the parm at? There's no parm. Like, if you're really going to be that cheap, you can go down the road to a Food Lion or a Walmart and buy that, garlic and herb Parmesan butter and just melt that and smear it on the wings. It would have done the same job. No calories, no carbs. Go keto. Which was getting on Darryl's nerves too. He was like, man, I can't stand hearing about this damn keto. Because I was talking about it. And, when something starts working and you enjoy doing it, as hard as it is, you become passionate about it. It happens, So we finally got back to our hotel rooms and settled in. I got ready, showered up, and this is when I knew the keto diet started working a bit. So one of my dress shirts that I wore was, last time I wore it, it was pretty tight in certain areas. But when I wore it that day, I felt like I was wearing a parachute. I was like, this is embarrassing. This is so awkward. So with that going on, I still look good. I shaved my beard off. And as you can see, I'm trying to grow it back for those watching on live. And I tried to make it work. I wanted to look, presentable and respectful. So me and Darryl showed up. We sat at the lobby, and then I went first, and then he was looking for me. Then I gave him the directions. He still couldn't find it. So then he ended up meeting up with me, and we both walked in, and we're sitting there, right? And what's the phrase I'm trying to think of? So we stood out like 2 grains of pepper and a pile full of salt. Like, real talk. And I can feel, and even Darryl was like trying to, like, yeah, see, I can tell they're like checking us out, seeing who are we. And I noticed it too, but I was like, look, I drove 6 hours. I don't care what they think. I drove. They didn't put gas in the car. They didn't put food in our bellies. And speaking of that, I'm gonna mention something later on the way back that blew our minds. So, you can feel that they're like, who are they? Who are they? Are they security? Are they here for the bride? Are they here for the groom? Are they even in the right wedding? Like, they're trying to figure this out. So it was like so ironic that I'm looking at these people trying to figure it out. Like, so I think it was only about 30 people showed up for the wedding. And while most people would be like, oh, that's sad. To me, if I ever got married, which will never happen, but even if I did, I wouldn't do a big wedding. I'd do a small wedding. It's cheaper. I'm not, and that's the one thing that like stood out for me the most. And I'm not putting down weddings in general because I've been to 3 and 2 of them I were involved in. So I'm not knocking them. But you put all that pressure and all that work for what, 15 minutes? 15 minutes. Because once it was over, it was like 2.5 hours until, dinner. So I went to the bar, and it blew my mind. So Northern Virginia, you pay at your typical nightclub $9, $10 for a shot of Tito's vodka. I'm there, and I had a double shot, and I only paid $6. $6. Liquor is cheaper in New York. Gas is cheaper in New York. And people kind of forget when I say I'm going to New York, the first thing that comes to people's mind is like New York City and Manhattan or the Bronx or Brooklyn. No, I was in upstate New York where like I was in the countryside. But it was so fun and it was so nice. I liked it. If it wasn't for the crazy ass snow, I probably would relocate. But even everyone was like, man, Syracuse, it's a dead end, man. You don't want to be here. Maybe, maybe not. So my buddy who was the bridesmaid, later on, she hit me up, what you doing? I didn't see the text because I was like, okay, I still want to drink, but I'm also a cheap guy, and that's cool. So she went with me and, got a couple of snacks, and I did the most regrettable thing ever. And anyone who listens that gets the reference, I completely understand. If you want to take away my man card, I am cool with it. So I had drunk a White Claw. That's right, I admit it. I drank a White Claw. And you know what? It was actually pretty good. Fight me. I do not care. Like, I was like, well, you drink it too? And she's like, well, I'm a woman. I can do that. You're a guy. You just drink a White Claw. Like, they're going to take your man card the moment they find out. I'm cool with that, I guess, So we got back downstairs. It was time for the reception. And I'm looking at all this food. And I'm like, fuck. Like, that was my reaction. It's like, I can't eat this. This is like against the code, man. So, everyone, the bridesmaids and the husband and the wife, they had their separate entrances and all that. And I'm like, this is cool. And they did the husband and wife dance. They did the dad and daughter dance. They did the husband and mom dance. They did all those. And next thing you know, I'm busy talking to the people at the table, being a social butterfly. And I see, the husband, he like got my attention, was like, yo, get on the floor. So I ended up dancing with my friend who was the bridesmaid. And I'm like, yo, I haven't slow danced in so long because when you got size 16 shoes, it ain't easy to slow dance. But for some reason, I had no problem dancing, And it was fun. And it was so funny because all the photographers was like, y'all look so cute together. And people at the table were like, y'all so cute. Now, one of the people that was at the table, code name Cousin Jimmy. He was the MVP he was the life of the party. Him and his wife, they were awesome. They were fun. They were hilarious. The stuff they were talking about, it was so off the wall. But I get it. And he's pretty much a testament on why I like dating older women. Even though lately that's changed. Preferences change. It happens. But it was such a good time, and then the food was awesome. Like, I'm not going to lie, I ate some potatoes. I ate some bread. But I ate a lot of meat and salad. I was like, fuck it, it's going to balance out. And then, because I told the bartender, because it was open bar all night, hey, I'm on the keto diet. What drinks are keto friendly? And she made a list. And she said, if I were you, if you really want to be, strict on the diet, just do like Coke Zero and vodka. Vodka, rum that's not spiced, tequila, whiskey, 0 carbs a shot. Hennessy is like 2 grams of carbs and sugar in a shot. So I'm like, okay. I think after about 3 vodka and Coke Zeros, I was done. Because when you're in ketosis, your bloodstream, you get drunk easy. And I'm like, yeah, I haven't got out of ketosis yet because 2 drinks, 1 drink, I'm already feeling it after the first drink, halfway into it. So that tells you right there, it was working. So it was like such a party. We're all dancing. We're all doing these crazy dances. We're like doing the hokey pokey. We're doing the electric slide. Like, it was just so crazy. And then there was this one dance where you like clap, clap, clap. You do some like, I don't know, some type of hand motion. And then you like do the funky chicken. And then you wiggle your butt. And I'm behind Cousin Jimmy. So every time I wiggle my butt, he's like got a handful of my ass. And I'm like, whoa. And I think never have I had my ass grabbed on that much. And you know what? I didn't care. I was having a good time. So it was so hilarious, the hijinks that were going on. And it went from like great to hilarious when they did the contests. So in every wedding, they do, the throwing of the bouquet and the throwing of the garter. So when they did the throwing of the bouquet, it was the Italian bride's mom, who earlier when I talked to her was walking with a limp, had a cane. She caught the bouquet. I'm joking with the people at the table talking about how I'm the never marriage open weight champion and I don't want to be in a relationship and I don't want to do marriage and all that. I've been scoring too much, and for the ones that I do want to get with, there's always something going on where I can't get with them. But they're like the high exceptions where I'd put a ring on it. So it's kind of like an oxymoron type situation. So all the single men, even the guys who were in relationships but weren't married, they had to get on the floor for the throwing of the garter. And there was like a little kid. So it's like, I'd probably say like 6 of us. Me, little Darryl, little kid, and 3 other people. I know one of them was like, the father-in-law, and one was the father, I think. So the husband threw the garter. Half of the dudes put their hands in their pockets. I reached out and I caught it, and I caught it, and I was like, cool, but then my face was like, oh shit, I caught the garter. And this is where, if you're watching live on Facebook Live, you're going to laugh your butt off because I am blushing as I'm saying this. So I had to put the garter on the bride's mother. And I'm dancing around, I'm swiveling, I'm, doing the pelvic thrust and all that. And I'm like sliding it up right on her leg, doing the eye wink. And then the DJ is like, whoa, 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 whoa. We're going to change it up. And I'm like, huh? He's like, we're going to have the mom put the garter on you, Mike. And I'm like, oh, shit. And they were like, they played like this one 80s jam. And I was like, oh, man, this is like, all of a sudden, I'll never forget it. And I'm like cheesing hard now talking about it. Her mom started like dancing around. She's shaking her hips. Then she did this butt wiggle. And I'm like, yo, I wanted to get a time machine right now just see how she was back in the day. Because, hey, I was like, oh, man. And, oh, my goodness. As I'm talking about it, like, the grin is, like, hard as shit right now. It's so funny. So she's like, I couldn't help but froze up. My face was like, oh, man. When she started wiggling and gyrating and straddling on my leg, I was like, oh, man. It's like, I don't know what's going on, but this is awesome. And she's like, I froze. Like, everyone's like, you got her struggling. I was like, do not let that fool you. She was straddling on my leg, putting that garter up on my leg. And she was like going higher and higher and higher on my thigh. She was like literally halfway on my thigh. If she would have gone another inch, I kid you not, I was going to tell her my room number. Like, like no kidding. I was like, hey, this is my room number. Come by anytime. And it was so hilarious because everyone was like, people at the tables, they were like the MVP, like, man, you're awesome. The photographers were like, dude, that is hilarious. And I cannot wait until the photos get released so I can, like, I don't care if I got to buy them. They're worth buying. Like, they were that hilarious. So just seeing my facial expression, one of the guys at the table was like, dude, man, was your face really like that or were you acting? I was like, dude, it was really like that. I was just that nervous and giggling. And the rest of the night, and my buddy, who was the bridesmaid, she was no help. She was instigating and laughing and giggling about it because all she had to do was say the mom's name, and I would cheese up, grinning and laughing and smiling because, I mean, she really had me blushing really hard. Or she'll pass by me and see me and wink, or we just look at each other and grin, and I'd be like, just covering my face because I'm like literally blushing so hard it's not even funny. It was so hilarious, and it was such a good time because, you know, the bride told me, I want that fun mic to come out that everyone talks about, and they got that fun mic. It was at the point to where Cherry Pie was playing. I pulled out that chair and did a lap dance on the chair. My buddy thought I was trying to give her a lap dance. I was like, no, man, I'm trying to, like, get my striptease on. Like, don't judge me. So it was too funny. And then afterwards, they did, like, another contest. And the contest was, there was one penny under one chair at each of the tables. So when they said that, they said the winner gets a prize. I popped out from my chair quick and flipped that chair over and grabbed it, and there was the penny. I snatched that penny up so hard, I was like, I won, and I was like, yeah! And Daryl's in the background like, did you see that face he made? Because it was like, it was legit epic happiness. It was fun. Like, it was really it was just a real good time, and you know, everyone was vibing, everything was good. Like, you can't judge a book by its cover. You can't go based on stereotypes because not all stereotypes are true. And it also goes to show who your real friends are, because I will say this, if I ever get married and I invite you people and y'all say y'all coming and y'all don't show up, I will cut you out of my lives quick. I could be in a life or death situation. They said, if you bring these people back in your life, you will be alive. I'd rather die because you took your word, and if your word's no good, then you're no good. And I've always said that in the last few episodes. So, but it was still such a good time though. And I think it was like we still kept dancing and all that, and I'm like, yo, I'm getting tired. We did like a conga line, and I'm like, bruh, I burned off these calories and carbs. I'm good. And I had like another drink, and then that's when the inner Chris Jericho in me came out. So I saw the bride and I saw her sister, and I was like, hey, because of this, that makes me your dad now, right? And they were like, oh my God. I was like, yeah, I'm your new daddy. I looked at one of them and I was like, hey, yo soy tu papá. And they're like, oh Lord. I was like, oh yeah, I'm your new daddy. So later on, the bride was talking to me at the table, and she was like, hey, you didn't get me anything, no gift or whatnot. I'm like, look here. I took a weekend off from work, and I worked extra overtime just to make sure I had money to come up there and travel and see you and do extra stuff. I said, if anything, I should be getting a gift for this, And I said, as a matter of fact, I took their champagne. I said, I'm taking the bubbly, and I'm giving you a little bit of the bubbly. And then I was like going to different tables and greeting the women. I'm like, I'm giving you a little bit of the bubbly, and you're getting a little bit of the bubbly. And then I went over to the next table, and I saw, cousin Jimmy, and I was like, that's right, they're getting the bubbly. And there was one of the other bridesmaids, which I kid you not, she had on a yellow dress. She had brown hair, and her makeup was on point. She looked like a curvy version of Belle from Beauty and the Beast. And I'm like, you're getting some of the bubbly. And I'm like going to this one table, and there was this older woman, and I said, you're hot, and you're getting a little bit of the bubbly. And I saw her husband high-five her, and I'm like, dude, you rock. And these people are like looking at me like, what the hell is he doing? And I'm like, I'm giving everybody the bubbly. It's like, we're going to have a little bit of the bubbly. So I got on the dance floor with the bottle of what was left of it, and I did like some little dance routine, did a little twirl, and I was like, yow, like Shinsuke Nakamura. And I was like, the bubbly. And I walked out with the bottle and did like a little bow and left. And then, I told, my buddy, I said, hey, if you're not doing anything afterwards, come stop by and hang out, because I'm just going to chill and go to sleep. And it's funny because literally we were the only ones on the top floor, and her room was across from mine. So, of course, everyone's like, ooh, yeah. And I'm thinking to myself, like, ooh, yeah. When really, in reality, it was like, we just drink White Claws and watch Friends. Well, earlier it was Friends. Later on that evening, it was Tupac. So I did get some of my man card back because I was watching Tupac. Because if Tupac was alive, he'd drink a White Claw too. He wouldn't let y'all know, but he'd drink one. I'm just saying. Gangsta love. Oh, gosh. But, yeah, it was such a good time. And the next morning, had breakfast and, greeted everyone. And we went our separate ways. Passing by in Pennsylvania, we hit up a Burger King, which was the same Burger King we hit up on the way there. And I kid you not when I tell you this. Nobody believes me when I say this, what I'm about to say, but it's true. Burger King had an assembly line that had Chick-fil-A beat. They were on point with everything. And their chicken fries was crispy, because every place I went to, chicken fries was soggy. All right? The Burger Kings here in Northern Virginia, the chicken fries were soggy as hell. It was ridiculous, but it was awesome at the same time. Like, I know it's a lot of things about, upstate New York. Gas is cheaper, liquor's cheaper, but it's so, I guess to them it's so boring. To me, I was cool. And, when I got home, I messaged the bride. I said, hey, thank you for inviting me. I had a great time, And she's like, I'm glad you showed up, Daddy. That's right, I had to pap it now. But yeah, it was just overall a fun, good time. And like I said, it's one of those things you can't judge a book by its cover. You can't go based on stuff that happened 20, 30 years ago. Like some people, it's still, instilled in them. But now times have changed. And a good chunk of the people that was there at the party added me on Facebook. The bride's father added me. Added cousin Jim, added cousin Jimmy, added his wife. We kept in contact. And eventually I want to go back to Syracuse just to do an episode with him because he is that awesome. He's that cool. I mean, I can tell, that was my equal in terms of being the life of the party. And I hope next time I go up there, I get to hang out with him and vibe with the brother, And it was just one of those things. It was just, like I said, it was worth the drive. The drive was fun. Once again, little Darryl fell asleep, even though we were watching a movie. Oh, no, man, I was up, big dog. I was like, you liar. I was just texting. No, you weren't. I saw you asleep. Shit. And it was raining so bad. I thought we were going to hydroplane at one point. But then I'm like, we got all this weight in the car. We're good. All this, heavyweight bulkiness. But, man, it was just a great time, though. I will never forget those people. And because of today's technology and social media, and I can't wait to get the photos. That was fun. That was worth taking time off for. It really was. Now that concludes, story time with Big Mike. I do have a big announcement. So there probably might be one or two episodes that I might do as an extra, even though this is the season finale. But I will say this, I do have a groundbreaking announcement. Starting in 2020, the Mike Cook Guys podcast brand is going to expand. And by expanding, I'm going to add on 2 new shows. So the first show, by popular demand, we're coming back. The Mike and Maury show will be back in 2020. So feast your eyes on the 2020 vision that's going to be the revamp of the Mike and Maury show. Yeah, we did a couple of episodes to feel it out, but this time, because of the anticipation, we're going to do it. We're gonna go forward and we're gonna do it. And if we're gonna do it, we're gonna, leave no, viewer untested, and we're gonna make sure everyone gets to listen. Now, the other announcement, the other brand, the other podcast I'm going to be doing, a lot of people on the last episode enjoyed how me and the New Era vibed. So, the Ace in the New Era will be starting in 2020 as well, too. So, we'll be doing episodes of that, too. So, my thing is I'm trying to expand my brand. So, it's going to be 3 episodes, 3 different shows. And I'm trying to figure out how to do that. So, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be very interesting. Season 7 is going to be fun. Like I said, Mike and Maury is going to be a whole different ball game. And then, of course, the Ace in the New Era. That's going to be a huge plate for me to fill. Which is why I'm going to start doing it in 2020 when I have the free time. Because if I'd be crazy enough to do this shit during the holidays, it would be a wreck and a half. And the last thing I want to do is burn out like I did last year. So we're gonna make it work. We're gonna make it do what it do. And like I said, it's gonna be fun. It's not work when you're having fun doing podcasting. And I think people don't see that. There is work, but when it's with the right people, it's not really work. So, that being said, this ends the season finale of season 6 of the Mike Cook Guys podcast. Like I said, there will be some extra episodes in December. I know my birthday is coming up next month. December 8th, just letting you guys know. And also a shout out to a few of the people who have invested in buying the MWO t-shirt brand. Thank you so much for supporting me and spreading the club love as always. Thank you. Now, that being said, here's to another episode. Here's to the end of the season. And as always, goodbye and good night. Bang!